Hello everyone, my name is PolishLynx, and this is another episode of Ambre. Crazy story so far. The magazines, the adverts, the TV, the whole world was telling her that was what happiness was. So wasn't it only natural for her to take hold of it with both hands? Wasn't it every little girl's dream? The wedding was promised and sold like a real-life fairy tale application. A very expensive, beautiful dress, and princess's dress was necessary. The bride had to be the story's heroine. Everyone would keep their eyes glued on her and only her, and she would have all the accessories, and cosmetics, and superficial stuff in which the stars constantly bathed. The famous singers all lived in some sort of permanent wedding, a strange and unlikely fantasy. Ambre too wanted to taste this kind of heaven. She was constantly told to the merits of. So she pushed Tristan to please her. He asked her hand in marriage and both of them organized a great ceremony. On the day, Ambre, still so frail, seemed to shine more brightly than ever. On the day, Ambre thought she had finally erased all traces of her rival. But it still wasn't enough. The life she was living didn't seem perfect enough just yet. She still needed a few things to be entirely fulfilled. She desired to breed a family. After all, they had sold marriage to her like a never-ending fairy tale, but she still needed a goal to keep on living. And it was said that her biological, her natural law, was of course to breed. A real woman should obviously want to become mother. It was an unchanging law that was probably written somewhere in a fragment of DNA code. A real woman should have a child, preferably a girl, so that she could educate her on all the moral codes. She had received her living doll to play with, brush her hair, play tea time with. You had to busy yourself with something to fill your existence, or to access to some kind of eternal fantasy. Independent. This need a project as a couple, or just an implicit order that came from within. Ambre had read and seen everywhere that those who didn't want kids would automatically be unhappy without realizing it, immature, almost handicapped by selfishness or neurosis. True love should bear fruits, just as the princess should be revealed only by a prince. That's where Cinderella's myth lay. Ambre didn't know yet, but the clock had started ticking long ago, and it was dangerously approaching its final moment. Tristan Malory took the desire of the young lady to procreate coldly. Glumiously, he did his best to pretend that they had a lot of time left, that they'd think about it later on, that he was ready to wait, but she kept insisting more and more. The months went by, and the young lady never tired of telling him all the things she wanted to make of her providential baby, describing from A to Z how she intended to educate it, and the accessories that would be necessary. Her biggest wish was to give birth to a little girl. She could go see up as much as wished. She sighed imagining how she would cover her in presents, go shopping with her, become a mix of a cool and friendly big sister like mother. Scolding. She was way too afraid that her future child would hate her to even think of it. Her angel would have to love her. It was obvious. She would be a good mother and everything would go for the best. Ambre had an endless stock of arguments to convince Tristan. Motherhood was the realization of a little girl's dream, the logical and infallible consequence of a couple's relationship, the greatest proof of love that could ever be, a way to conform themselves to the norm. Months went by, slowly, dreadfully, to the rhythm of Ambre's growing obsession. She was always looking out for a sign, observing her body, for the telltale good news. Try after try, she repeated that this time it would work. For she had to admit that something was wrong, that something wasn't working. Okay, so they are trying, something's not working. That's why the previous wife left him? He couldn't make children? Even though she tried her hardest, she still wasn't pregnant. A shower of doubt started pouring down her mind. Tristan tried to minimize the problem. telling her that it wasn't so bad, that it would happen someday, and that they had so many other things to live for together, but it was too late. Ambre wasn't listening anymore. She absolutely needed to go to the doctor to get her body checked out, to understand the problem and to fix it. She wasn't going to give up when she was so close to her goal. Her partner avoided the subject as much as possible, pretending to be distracted and refusing any medical checkup. Every time the young lady went to talk about it, he remained tongue-tied, feeling that the situation was becoming more and more tense. She was getting too close to the truth, and he couldn't afford it. There were too many things at stake. So he held on, trying all that he could to reassure his protege and convince her to get rid of those unwanted thoughts. But Tristan's shoulders, yielding under the weight of his burden, was too tired to anticipate Ambre's every move. He couldn't see the disaster coming even though he felt it. One day, while he was at work, she took the opportunity to go to the doctor at her city's central hospital. She explained the situation and pleaded with him to help her bear children. He gave a long sigh and stared at her from head to toe. Finally, in honeyed tones, he suggested amiably, "You know there is no need to try that hard. You'll only hurt yourself further. Don't play dumb. You're very well aware of your sterility, aren't you? It's not the end of the world, you know. There are assisted procreation techniques that work very well nowadays. In vitro fertilization, for example. Why don't you try to think about it?" The young doctor tried to be as positive as comforting as he could, but the blow had already been dealt. Ambre was in shock. Her dreams crumbled to pieces in an ocean of dust and litter. She left the hospital completely destroyed, speechless and cold, and as mechanical as a robot. She heard nothing of the doctor's last kind words. All she knew was that she had to go home. Once she was outside, the sky's building grey light left her lost for a bit. She was obviously in the city where she had always lived, but the buildings, the cars, and the people passing by had all turned to ghostly and haggard silhouettes in her dark, upside-down world. Her sight blurred little by little as she walked aimlessly. So, did she actually grow up already? I have no idea. The city crumbled into a gigantic pile of ashes. Voices of the passerby around her changed into soundless language, metallic and meaningless. Ambre managed to get to the park, mechanically not really knowing how, a terrifying angst seizing her from inside. Seeing nothing, understanding nothing, she fell on the grass, wide-eyed. All of a sudden, the grey-filtered images of her past came back to her mind, and reality brutally hit her in the stomach. It's impossible. Why me? Even though I am normal. I'm not a piece of trash. No, it can't be. My dream. I wanted to be happy. She remembered. She remembered the mirror. The mirror. The mirror. The crude light above the mirror that showed her all her flaws, all her imperfections. The excruciating need to be perfect, to be flawless like the models, the actors, the singers on every screen, that were all constantly visible. Don't go for that, they are not perfect. No one's perfect. Just be natural. To be seen, to be admired, to have every corner of yourself analyzed. Never break down, always be perfect, take care of every detail, hide everything. Keep everything deep inside yourself, even if it means the surface will weaken and crack under waves of lies. The mirror, in front of which she carefully put on makeup for long minutes. That miraculous product that could erase every one of those damned imperfections, those goddamn traces of humanity. Shave her legs, not leaving a single hair. Okay. Shaving legs is actually essential. If you don't agree, I understand, but I think it is. Frame her brows. Choose the outfit that will make her look her best. Add a layer of makeup on the face to make one's identity disappear, to be replaced by a single form of beauty, a majestic beauty, an artificial beauty, an impossible beauty to attain. The mirror, in front of which she would wave herself, in front of which she would tell herself that she should watch What she eats, become thinner, become more beautiful, more desirable. Throw up. Throw. Kidding me? Are you kidding me? Throw up every extra. Keep only what's essential. Admire yourself in front of the mirror. Throw up that unwanted vital pulsation. Throw up what's dirty. Become cleaner inside and out. That's just sick. Destroy the dirt, anything dirty. Become pure, immaculate, perfect. The mirror, other people's stars. That permanent mirror of vanity. Believing you exist, destroying yourself bit by bit, becoming unable to survive by yourself, to stand the growing loneliness, the impossible struggle against yourself. Mind, almighty, against the body, forcing it to submission, forcing it to remodel itself to fit whatever you wish it to be, forcing it to become the soul's one and only avatar. Not being able to accept yourself, the endless racing against time, nature, constant effort to kill yourself, to prevent yourself from existing. An eternal body dream like a corpse body. The mirror is staring at the bottom of my heart. He knows everything, he sees everything. I can't escape it. I cannot escape. Logged in by her obsessions, Ambre convulsed, letting out several piercing shrieks. It has to stop! It has to stop! Suddenly the emotional pressure becomes so strong that she completely lost all the sense of reality, and her brain went blank. She moved no more. She didn't pronounce a single word. Motionless on the park's grass, eyes still fixed in a terrified posture, you might have believed she was dead if she hadn't been breathing faintly. The world seems to freeze, explode, die in an insufferable shriek of agony. Her world. The clock had struck midnight, but Cinderella wasn't ready to give up on her dream. It was 7:30 p.m. On that beautiful yet cold autumn day, the wind shook the frail tree's branches across the street. Tristan Malory made his slow, tired way. A whirlwind of leaves caught his attention, and he stopped to contemplate them for a few minutes. A spray of colors danced around him. Fragments of reds, oranges, yellows, spread at random, forming a mosaic that stretched on for as far as the eye could see, endlessly. It was rare beauty in that grey and fuming city, in that noisy metropolis constantly exhaling bad air. Coming back to his senses, the 30-year-old man shook his head. Okay, he's still 30-year-old, so she's still a child. I don't get this story. Now wasn't the time to be daydreaming. He had to go home. Ambre was waiting. As usual, she would probably ask him about her future pregnancy, what name they should give her kid, and how they should decorate his room. As usual, she'd worry about not seeing her flat stomach. And as usual, he would have to minimize the problem and pretend it was no big deal to delay the unavoidable. The long day weighed on his shoulders, but if he was honest with himself, work wasn't the most tiring thing in his life. Since honest, well-paid work was somewhat of a luxury these days, like any model employee, he consciously accomplished every task handed to him, and did no more or less than what was asked. No, what was destroying him was a completely different form of fatigue, an appalling and crushing solitude that had been shadowing him for years, ever since his wife had lost her head. The light tinkle of the front door opening brought him back to earth. He was already arrived to his flat. Ambre should have been there to greet him with her wide smile. Instead, a sad and mute living room waited for him in morbid silence. He felt goosebumps travel down his spine as he entered the room. Where was she? Could be happening again? Driven by desperation, he didn't even take the time to hang his coat correctly, but began slamming out the doors, one after the other, hoping she would be sleeping in some corner. Each time, the same emptiness answered his pleas. He felt a rising dread within. His last hope was that last door and the forbidden room beyond. He opened it, slightly, and peeked inside. Of course, there was no one. That would have been too easy. He fell heavily into the sofa. The crushing solitude came back in full force, crushing him again and again, wounding his face with invisible cuts, the cuts of time. It was happening again. Ambre had gone crazy. she'd run away once more. Once more he would have to find her before she got hurt. He would have to play the part of an impassive stranger, showing no sign of the torment devouring him alive. Don't tell me it's like... It's the same woman? And it's like she's running away and losing her... mind? She doesn't remember the past and... things. Tristan Malory felt suddenly tired. He felt his head in his hands and stared at the floor for long minutes. He didn't calm down, even just a little, so he could pretend he wasn't affected by it. Let's end this here. Damn, if it really is how I think it is, and how I thought a second ago, well, that would be a very surprising turn of events. I completely didn't see something like that coming. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. See you in the next one. Bye.